KNAC.com, the loudest.com on the planet. Thanks for checking in with us again. A long time ago, back in the early 90s, somebody handed me a CD known as Death is Just the Beginning, Part 2. On that CD was a compilation of amazing bands that just crushed my ears and opened my eyes up to a lot of new bands. One band that has stood out to me was the band Incantation. And I have the pleasure today of talking to John McEntee, guitarist and also the vocalist of
Yeah,
Incantation. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. It's totally awesome to be on with you and in a good day. Things are going really great.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. And you guys are about to release your 11th release to date, man. That's amazing for a death metal
It's crazy.
band.
Yeah, it's
Ooh.
crazy to think it's that many. We've
But
been
it,
very fortunate though.
yeah, Sect of Vile Divinities, which is a bit of a mouthful, and I love it because you guys always had a knack for these amazing album titles, and this is also your second release as you came back with Relapse Records, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely. It's been great too since we've been back. We've definitely been doing an awesome job with the band. It just was the right thing to do to go back to them. We had they were the first label to really show support to us back in the day, and unfortunately, both us and the label were both kind of just learning the ropes back in the '90s. So we both made kind of stupid decisions, and our kind of relationship kind of fell apart as label and band. But it just seemed like the right time to kind of mend fences, and everything just is working out perfect since we got back together. It's been a totally awesome um, label band relationship for sure.
That's great, yeah, because Relapse definitely has a reputation for being one of the heaviest labels out there, and especially with so many underground labels,
Yeah.
it's awesome to know that Incantation is back with Relapse. So congratulations on that.
Ah, thank you. We're
Yeah.
really super happy.
Yeah. Let's talk now about Sect of Vile Divinities. What's the theme behind this one?
Well, I mean, basically, it just each song is kind of its own little lyrical concept kind of thing, and it's kind of all it's not really like one basic concept, I guess. So it's really you know just that's hard to explain. It's such a interesting interesting concepts that Chuck comes up with for songs. It's just totally out there. It's really nice for me because I used to write a lot of lyrics, and I got really tired of just talking about how much I think religion sucks and stuff. So it was really nice to have someone else come in with a lot of new and fresh ideas for our albums and stuff like that. And he's been writing most of the lyrics really for the last four. I think the last one I really wrote, I think lyrics on was probably Vanquish and Vengeance, which was already like 2011, already that long ago. Wow. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, musically, it's we really wanted to have a kind of an older school vibe to it. I mean, we always, we're always in that pocket of old school because that's where we came from and stuff. But I really wanted to revisit some of the more kind of almost simpler mid-tempo type riffs, like stuff we would have done in songs like Profanation or Iconoclasm of Catholicism, where it's just kind of simpler but really driving and still have that dark evil sound to it. So I'm really happy with the way it came out, and I like the fact that the album has a lot of cool layers and harmonies, but still sounding really dark and brutal because I really love those that dark brutal atmosphere that you know we've had in our music pretty much since day one. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, I think it's a good testament that you guys were able to really stick to your sound at the same time through 3 decades of making music, man. You guys were able to evolve a little bit, and it still kept the sound fresh. Like you guys put out album after great album after great album, and that's great that you guys stuck to your guns, man.
Well, yeah, I think I mean for us, it's super important to just stay true to who we are as a band. I get it. Some bands like to really change their style and expand and stuff. But for us, it's like we really like where we're at as a band and the style. We love death metal and we love the era of death metal that we come from. And there's like, you know, there's no reason for us to really change the fundamentals of the band. I mean, and we work hard on obviously trying to move forward and do some different things. So you don't want to do the same exact thing over and over again,
Hmm.
but at the same time, you don't want to like totally have it totally different than what you originally done. Because I mean, if we were going to do something totally different, we would just start another band and have it be a different style. And for us, as long as it's you know death metal and has just that really dark, driving sound to it, and as long as it's totally heavy, then you know,
Hmm.
then we're happy.
Right, right. And you guys always had like your unique sound, and to the day, I mean, you're influencing a lot of bands with this your unique sound of it's the way I describe it, it's like death metal, but it's also like doom metal, and this is before doom metal was even a thing, really. Like you guys are like a pioneer. I mean, let alone you guys are pioneers of death metal, and then coming out of New Jersey, right? You still were part of like
Yes.
that New York death metal scene, which it became a genre in itself, much like Florida death metal, New York death metal,
Yeah.
one of my favorite genres. And you guys really made a name for you guys yourself.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've always been a fan of like doom metal. Like one of my biggest influences is Black Sabbath, and but I also really in the '80s was really into like bands like Trouble and Candlemass, and
Hmm.
along with a lot of the early thrash and death metal type bands. So for us, it was just kind of normal to want to add those kind of influences to it. And there were some bands that were kind of starting to come out in the death metal world, starting to do kind of doom stuff like Paradise Lost and
Hmm.
what was it, Disembowelment. We're kind of starting to do that kind of stuff, or early My Dying Bride. But and we love that stuff. But obviously, we wanted to stay as a death metal band, but still incorporate some of that doom influence because it's kind of like I think a lot of people just assume that death metal is supposed to be just really fast all the time, and I never thought about death metal necessarily as a speed. Death metal is more of a feeling in the music, so it could be like any speed.
Right.
Really, it just has to have that personality to it. It has to have that dark personality, that pissed offness to it, just the crushing heaviness, And I mean,
Totally.
it's so for us, it's so much fun to be able to just do a riff, do like a more raging fast riff, and then just totally slow down to a snail's pace. It's like it's such a rush to just have that feeling, especially doing it live. It's just so much fun to just hit a low note and just go gong.
Yeah,
It's really
totally.
killer.
Yeah, it hits hard, man. Like those changes and the progression and everything. It's you guys do an excellent job of the songwriting. And I've heard the Sect of Vile Divinities, and man, it's another crushing album. And I can't wait for everybody to hear it. Again, it's coming out in late August through Relapse Records. You guys definitely need to pick this up. And another thing that was always part of you guys' legacy was the amazing artwork. This one is just it just screams evil and like how did you guys go about the concept for this album cover?
Well, that's another thing that Chuck Sherwood really worked with Eleanor Cantor on, because he really just wanted something that kind of represented the different songs and have a little bit of each little song concept represented its own little way in the album cover. And I know the whole band wanted to make sure that we work with someone like Eleron because we wanted to have a real piece of art vibe to the album. We didn't want to have it be computer animated or anything like that. And I just I think the color concept was actually our drummer Kyle came up with that kind of greens and like blues and greens that kind of have like a almost an aqua look to it. But it's really cool because the way it came across, it really looks dark and evil, but in an original kind of way, which I just think is really awesome that we were able, Eleron was able to really get that vibe in the artwork. So we're super, super happy with it. And after listening to the album, it seems like it just works with the album so well.
Oh, totally.
It's crazy.
I
It's
highly
crazy
agree.
how a cover, if you have the right cover to an album, it sets the mood for the album in a way,
No, totally. Yeah. I mean, like, I think people will agree that's a big part of what kind of grabs you. You're in the record store, you're flipping through stuff, and you see some outrageous cover, and it just, it grabs you right by the throat, and it makes you want to listen to it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I mean, I grew up with that. I mean, back in the '80s and early '90s, it's like, yeah, I have to look at the cover and look at the band shirts or something, and that's how you get an album.
Hmm. Totally. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's one other thing too. Is like you see somebody wearing a T-shirt. I was like, an incantation. Oh, damn! What the hell is that? And then you gotta look into it. I'm like, oh yeah, man. And
Yep.
let's dip a little back into history about like the
Okay.
evolution of incantation. You guys started out with Will from Mortician on one of your EPs, and
Yes.
as you progressed, you guys had like a lot of musicians come in, and
Hmm.
I guess kind of influence your style a little bit, or was part of your style, and
Yeah.
eventually in 2004 you took over the vocal rings. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah. Well, basically, just it's really, it does get kind of discouraging, having lineup change, especially like lead vocalists and stuff, because I mean, we've had great lead vocal. I mean, yeah, Will from Mortician obviously is amazing. Craig Pillard's amazing. Daniel Crociato, Mike Sayas, they all did a great job. But it was just to a certain point where it's just like, we needed to, stop the kind of revolving door of vocalists. And Kyle and myself, we just talked about it and realized that, I have to take over vocal duties, even though I didn't really want to, because I just wanted to be kind of a songwriter, guitar player. I didn't really want to be a vocalist or a front man, but just took the time out. It took about a year of like spending time just growling to our records in the basement, trying to get the tones right, and then learning how to play the songs and do the vocals with full power. I mean, all that stuff took about a year's time
Oh,
of working on. But we ended up doing a couple of test shows in Mexico around that time, and
oh
I guess
wow.
I don't know, 2003 or 2004. We did like 3 test shows, and we recorded them just to see, kind of so I could review it and stuff. And we did it, and I was like, well, first of all, the shows were amazing. The crowds were just insane. But just when we heard it back, we were just like, wow, this really fucking sounds sick. I mean, I was a little bit still new at it, so I wasn't quite at the tone I wanted to, but it actually kind of reminded me of like that really early Sepultura, like Morbid Vision type vocals, and I was
Nice.
like, I could live with that. That's a good starting point, because Max Cavalera is just amazing,
Right.
So, and then eventually it grew from there. Like after those shows, it kind of built up my confidence a little bit. Like, okay, I could do this, and um, then I just kind of keep an eye on it, keep trying to videotape shows and trying to, find where the flaws were, tonal wise or just whatever, and just try to make it better. You just had to be really. I had to be just as hard on myself as I would be on any other member of the band as far as quality of performance. Because it's always easy to be like really forgiving to yourself. But I always made sure to have like the other guys in the band like tell me like, hey, dude, if it sucks, just tell me, dude, so I know. Because
No,
I
of
don't want to
course.
like think it's good.
No, of course. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, we're
So
like
yeah,
we're our own worst critic, man, and I'm a musician
yeah,
myself, so I understand. Like, you look at yourself, you hear yourself. Especially, it's important, like you point out, to like record yourself and kind of take notes on your performance. And not many
yeah.
people, I think, not many bands understand that. It's such a really helpful
No,
tool.
it's really difficult because honestly, for a lot of our recordings, man, a lot of times like I do them and I'm like, "Ah, I don't know if this is good or not, like because I feel weird about like when I review my own stuff, I sometimes I'm too critical and I'll just beat it into the ground and I have to give it to the other guys in the band to listen to and just be like, can you help me judge this, because I, I expect way too much of myself, and you know, like even on this new album, I mean, I think the vocals came out really good, but you
Hmm.
know, if you would have asked me right after doing them, I would have said, I don't know, this might suck, you know, or something like that. But then listening back to it after it's all mixed and stuff, I was like, oh, wow, it sounds actually pretty good.
No doubt, man. It's some great work, I'm telling you. And going back to like the test run, is there any chance that you guys might release those recordings of the live your live test run?
uh, I we have all that stuff on videotape, and we want to do some stuff with it, but just sorting through all that stuff is insane. I mean, especially especially a lot of the time when Kyle first joined the band until around the mid, oh shit, the mid 2000s. We really filmed a lot of shows, so
Hmm.
I mean we have a lot to go through. So it's just having the time. I mean even though we've been under quarantine with the pandemic, it's like
Right.
we've been really busy working, writing new material and stuff
Okay.
during the pandemic. So it's kind of like, haven't had time to sit back and watch all these live shows to
Hmm.
find one that's good. But I mean, I remember when we originally, right after Mexico shows, we put up a couple of clips on our website just to kind of like, show people that, okay, it sounds good. It doesn't totally suck. And actually, a funny story about the vocals. We did a short tour with Pungent Stench right after that Mexico tour,
Hmm.
and Seth from Anal Cunt came out to our show. He was a
Oh
friend
wow.
of ours. We toured with him a lot, actually. And he came out and he was like kind of teasing me, like, okay, let's hear how this is gonna sound. It's gonna totally suck, kind of teasing me. Then after the show we played it, he's like, dude, that was really good. It's like I was like, I mean, it meant a lot because I really knew that he would tell me the truth. He's like, no offense, but I thought you were gonna sound like Caton from Hyrax or something on vocals, and I just thought it was really funny,
Hey, no
and he
disrespect to
knows he.
no disrespect to
No,
Kane
no,
and Hyrex, yeah, right?
no,
Yeah,
dude, I love Hyrax. It's what he was just kind of joking with me because he
right.
knows I'm a old school metal fan. I love Hyrax and
Yeah.
Caton is a great guy, but I just thought it was really funny that he brought that up to me. You know,
Yeah.
just because obviously
And
my
Seth,
vocal tone is on the opposite spectrum.
right. And Seth definitely had a reputation to himself, so I mean, I'm sure his word was like solid, you know. So
Well,
that's
I respected Seth because he was just, he was always really honest about stuff when if he did, if he thought something we did was good or bad, he was honest with us, and he was just a good friend. We toured with him a lot, and I know his band was kind of silly and had a lot of silly themes, but
sure.
he was actually really cool dude and really sincere metal fan.
Hmm. No, of course, and sincere rest in peace to him, and like
Yeah.
that was
Yes.
definitely an impact, and also you guys had a loss too. You had a loss with Joe Lombard, is that correct? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That
that was a little
really
tough.
really that really sucked. I mean, he was actually out of the band for a little while after that because
Right.
it really sucked because I don't I mean I'm only speculating, but I don't think he really wanted to leave the band, but he just got in a situation where he kind of had to leave the band,
Mhm.
and it just seemed like he just was never quite the same after he left the band. He did suffer from depression and stuff like that,
Mm,
so
mm.
you know
And
that that stuff really sucks.
right. And apologies to bring up a sore subject. I just like
No,
it.
it's okay. I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's trust me. I have so many great memories of hanging out and touring and just being friends with Joey that there's way more positive to remember than the negative.
Right, that's good. Yeah, focus on the positive, man, and you guys certainly have had a legacy of outstanding music, and all these events, affect you to the day and kind of helps you write material for the new album, right? Like, I mean,
It'll when tragedy happens with friends and band members and whatnot, it it really to me I take it in a way where I look at it like I really need to appreciate all these moments and these great opportunities that we have and these great people that I play with in the bands. Like I you know, I've learned so much from just living life as a musician and seeing, you know, some real, tragedy. I mean, it's sad, but I have a lot of friends in the music scene that passed away and stuff, and
Mm.
those things, it sucks for sure, but I just always think about, well, if something happens to me or whatever, I want to make sure that I'm like, live the life that I want to live, and if I'm gonna die or something, die on my own terms,
Mm.
not not have any regrets,
No, I totally understand, man. And just to kind of let you know, I'm also kind of on that same position. I had lost my guitar player a little bit over a year ago, so man, I totally understand the pain of that all. And around here,
Yeah,
you always hear a lot about, especially these days, it's super tough, man. You're always hearing about these great musicians passing on, and not so much old
well,
age, but it's just some health concerns or
I
whatever
know.
arising, and you just, man, it's just like it never ends.
Well, I know out in the LA area, I I remember Jagger used to play with Infamy,
Brainstorm
you
and was
know.
it?
Yeah, and then also more recently was Big Rob, I mean, that was
Oh
a
yeah, I know Big
real
Rob,
bummer. I mean, he used to he drove us around for a couple of tours, and I've known
right?
him since
Yep.
forever. Him and Zero and those
Zero,
and
yeah.
Jerry Bell, those guys used to help us out, like roadie for us on tour, just help us out, or just be friends and let us stay at their places while we were on tour back in the day. So
Yep.
when Big Rob passed away, it
That was a
definitely
shock.
hurt. And yeah, we have a lot of we have a lot of connections with the LA scene. I mean, you
Nice.
know, we've been playing out there a lot, and it's
Hmm.
just a really great, a lot of great friends out there. It's really awesome.
Yeah, I knew Big Rock too, and like that really hit me hard. And I was like, it came out of the fucking blue. And people who don't understand, like if you're from Los Angeles, Big Rob was like, man, he was like a big cog in the machine that not just L.A. death metal, but just death metal as a whole. Like he was a
Yeah,
great support. He helped bands, stage tech, driver, like you name it, man. The guy was on top of his game, man. And
yeah. I mean,
rest in peace to the guy.
yeah. Every time we would go to LA and play, he'd be at the show, and he would be like, if he wasn't like working for us directly, he would just be helping out as a stagehand,
Hmm.
or he would just help out, just to help out. He was
Of
just
course,
like, really really great guy. He was definitely a big loss.
totally,
it,
man.
it's sad for us,
Yeah,
to hear
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, and I think now comes the time where like a lot of us, a lot of us supporting death metal, like we really got to band together, and hopefully there's like these new hands that can step in and like help out the bands because you know touring coming to a halt right now. I mean, everybody's kind of hard hard up for work, and it's hard to
Yeah,
make a living. But I mean, once those gates open up, man, it's time for everybody to step up and really like go see concerts, go buy those albums, go buy those T-shirts, go share the music online or wherever, however you got to do it, man. Just support the bands that have been just like sitting and waiting. And dude, I can't
yeah.
wait. I
It's
can't wait for
it's
you guys to
really
get back out there.
yeah. It's really sucks having all these problems, and it's yeah. A lot of bands are really going through a lot, so it's definitely always cool to just do a little something to support bands. And
Hmm.
it's been cool. I think a lot of people have been supporting, I mean, us by buying stuff from our web store and stuff. So, just it's not a huge amount of money, but anything at this in a situation like this helps. Just to help keep the expenses, low, because there's always so when we do get back to touring again. It's not like we just get back to touring. You have to. There's lots of financial money that needs to be put up and stuff to do these kind of tours. It's not quite as simple as just saying, okay, we're going to go out on tour. We have to rent vehicles and
Hmm.
hire people and do, it's a lot of expenses. People sometimes don't quite understand.
No, of course. And I was fortunate to catch you guys. Like I think it was about a year or two ago. You guys were out here. I think it was the Suffocation show, and maybe Dark Funeral and Belphegor was on that.
Was that? I think you're talking about the Dark Funeral, Belphegor, Us, and Hate. We played.
Hate, yes, and that's
Where
right,
we,
huh?
I, I
Yeah,
can't remember the name of that venue, but it was
1720 out here. It was
yeah,
seventeen
it
twenty.
was the number 1720. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was it. Yeah. Yeah, we had a blast at that show. It was killer. That was a really fun tour.
Hell yeah,
That
it
was the
was.
Devastation on a Nation tour. Yeah, that was killer.
Devastation of the Nation. That's it. Yeah, yeah. I caught you guys. You guys were like one of my main reasons to catch that show. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like,
It was,
I'm sorry to say, brother, but like that was my first time catching you guys, and like I wanted to catch you guys for a long time, and that was an outstanding
that's
show.
cool.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, we're just happy that there's still like people that never got to see us or never new fans or whatever.
Hmm.
A lot of younger fans are getting into us, so it's totally awesome. We've been super happy. This last touring cycle for a Profane Nexus album was just phenomenal. I mean, we did a bunch of great tours. We did that Contamination tour before that with Dying Fetus and
Hmm.
Gate Creeper and Genocide Pack. That was a really killer package. And then we also did a newer one. We did a tour with Morbid Angel, Watain, and
Hmm.
us. It was last with December. We've been super fortunate to get some really killer tours going. And before that, we played with the Regent. We played with
Hmm.
Marduk.
Hmm.
That was a really killer one too. That was a blast of a tour.
Nice, nice. And would you say you've seen a bit of a surge in like underground death metal in the last, I don't know, 5 maybe 10 years?
Yeah, it's been slowly getting better over the years. I mean, every album we've done since Vanquish and Vengeance, which is 2011, each album, things just been getting better and better for the band. I mean, just more and more people coming to shows and getting into it, and it just really seems like death metal is kind of at a kind of a new peak. I mean, obviously it was really big in the early '90s and stuff, but
Hmm.
I would say now it's probably just as big, really. I mean, as it was back then. I mean, the shows have really been killer. I, I'm super stupid. It's amazing for me doing it for freaking 30 years to think like now is one of the highlights of my career as far as a musician. It's insane.
No, of course, man.
Never would have thought about that in the early '90s. I mean, when I started the band, '89, I kind of thought, okay, maybe the band will be around for 5 years. If we're lucky, we'll put out an album. Everybody will hate it, and then nothing will happen. That was pretty much it. Because we pretty much knew that what we were doing was not non-commercial music, and
Hmm.
we didn't have any false expectations. We didn't think, oh yeah, we're going to be like new Metallica or something. We were just like, we're just lucky if somebody will be nice enough to put an album for us or something.
Hmm.
So, um, once we did get signed and things went really well, we actually weren't really prepared for it in a way.
Hmm.
I mean, we were prepared as we were killing it as a band, I felt, but just as far as like dealing with the popularity, we weren't expecting that at all. It was like, oh shit. It went from us being like the underdogs, like hating everybody, and just telling everybody to piss off, to all of a sudden everyone's liking us, and it's like, huh, that's a weird. We're used to playing shows with bands and being like the most brutal, pissed off band, and people looking at us like, what the hell are you guys doing? And all of a sudden, that actually everybody was liking us, which was nice, but it wasn't expected. You know, we we always kept our heads on pretty straight for the most part, as far as knowing that we're playing extremely underground music. So if things don't work out the best commercially, it's kind of totally expected.
No, yeah, I
you
would
know?
definitely think that you guys have a great
Yeah,
success in the underground death metal scene, and believe me, man, I'm trying to do my part and spread the word of death metal, man. I loved you guys since back in the day, and again, going back to the New York death metal scene with Immolation and Suffocation, and
yeah,
like, dude, I think what you guys are
great
doing,
scene.
yeah, fuck yeah, man, and what you guys are doing, I mean, it's awesome that you guys are putting out another great album. Again, knec.com, the loudest.com on the planet. I have the pleasure of speaking to John McEntee, guitarist, vocalist from Incantation. August 21st, Sect of Vile Divinities, their 11th release coming out from Relapse Records. Uh, just to touch on it again, what can fans expect from this album?
Just I guess you could expect, just very twisted, dark, old school death metal. Um, everything you kind of at least everything I want to hear as far as death metal is in it. I mean, it has, our signature doom stuff. It has some, aggressive fast stuff, and it has some killer dark mid-tempo stuff. So, you know, it's pretty much, it's pretty much what it is. Hopefully you like it.
I'm
And
big
if you don't like
fans.
it, it's not my fault. You're a poser.
Yes, I love that. That's awesome. I love that. Hell yeah. Um, Now, going back to like, when you guys first recorded and now through the decades, you've seen the evolution with recording technology. Has it been a struggle for you, or like how did you adjust between like just playing guitar, vocals, and going from analog to now digital? What's that like for you?
Well, I mean, at first it definitely was awkward. I mean, we kind of went into digital world kicking and screaming because when the late '90s, when that stuff was starting to get really popular, I really was not happy with a lot of the death metal productions that were coming out because I just thought it sounded a little too artificial, and I really liked the more earthier sound of analog, yeah. So, but it was just once I can't remember what album was Blasphemy album, or it was the um, Decimate Christendom, but one of them we kind of did like half digital, half analog, and we're still able to make it work. And we kind of realized that digital could work as long as you don't like over process everything and don't over tighten things up or whatever. Because it's not that I don't want things to be perfect and tight and everything, but it's to me it seemed like a lot of death metal and a lot of music just in general was overusing the tools and making things sound artificial, and that music started sounding more like computer sounding music than real guitars, drums, and bass kind of thing. So it was definitely an adjustment, but now it's more practical to do digital, and as long as you know how to do things in a proper way, digital could just saves a lot of money, mostly money and time in the studio. I mean, that was the amount of money we used to pay in the studio back in the '90s was just crazy compared to the amount we pay now.
Who are you working with as far as the producer and mastering for this new album?
Oh well, the last four albums, last four we've done all with Dan Swano. He's been doing a really great job with us. Um, we I worked with him because I back in the mid 2000s I was doing a record company, and some of the bands we were working with he was doing some mixing for and mastering, and I just really happy with it. Once we did once we worked with him, it was just amazing how well he was able to capture the old school sound of the band, but still making it sonically sound good for today's recordings without like losing that feeling of you know our era of death metal. So we're really happy with Dan Swano. Did an amazing job again on this album.
I want to again thank you for your time. Want to
Thank you.
kind of just point out, like you mentioned it, and I know people like to take their minds off of it because, well, for many a variety of reasons. But we mentioned the pandemic, and curious as to how are you doing? How's the rest of the band doing? You guys are in communication a lot, I would assume.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've been handling the pandemic pretty good. I mean, it hasn't really affected us so bad compared to say some other bands, because I know like Suffocation and Belphegor were on tour in Europe as the pandemic happened, so that was terrible for them. As far as us, we just finished our album in January, so we kind of were expecting to not have too busy of a couple months until the release of the album. So all it was for us really was a slight delay, a couple month delay in the release of our album. Plus, there were a few festivals in the summertime that had to get postponed until next year
Oh
because of
man.
it. But overall, it hasn't been that bad. I mean, I've been taking the time to, really concentrate on just, writing more music. I've just been really inspired plus I did have some time to just go through some of our archives with some stuff, no video stuff, but just archives, just like
Mhm.
flyers and organized stuff like that. And it was just nice to spend a little bit of time to reflect on my musical career, because usually I'm just so busy with stuff I never think about all the great opportunities we had as a band. So I try to make the sucky situation as positive as possible, because
Right.
there's nothing I can really do about it. Just try to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. But there's only so much one person can do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And kind of good advice, to people out there listening, that want to get their head out of the gutter. It's like be part of the answer, be part of the solution, and not part of the
Yeah,
problem.
I know there's lots of weirdness going on about wearing masks and stuff like that, and I'm no, not anybody to say it works or it doesn't work or whatever, but it's to wear a mask just for the chance that it helps somebody is worth it to me. It's like, okay, we'll do it. If it doesn't work, does it really hurt that much to wear it, out
Hmm.
when you're in public? To me,
Right.
it
Right.
doesn't really matter to me. So it's like, I'll do it, and just, if it helps, it helps. If it doesn't help, at least I tried. It's better,
Right.
better than nothing.
Yeah. You
It's not,
do
and it,
you do your part.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So it kind of, yeah, the situation sucks, and I feel for people that it's hit, because I do have a couple friends that
Hmm.
did catch the virus and stuff. Not local friends, but just friends I know from across the states and
Hmm.
stuff. So it's some serious. Some reason it affects some people really bad. So it's really, that really sucks.
Oh yeah, totally, man. I have friends
Wish them the
affected by it
best.
too, and yeah, totally, man. We wish them the best. And one of the things that's gonna help us get through, bro, is this awesome death metal that you're putting out, and all these other bands that are putting out great music this year. And on their behalf, man, we thank you for staying true to form. Again, this is John McEntee, Incantation, August 21st, Sect of Vile Divinities through Relapse Records. Any last words you want to give out to the fans over there?
Yeah, just thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for the interview. I totally appreciate it, and thanks to all of our newer supporters and longtime supporters. We totally appreciate it, and we just can't wait to get back on the road and just play some metal and hang out with everybody and have a great time. And yeah, just a big thanks to the LA and just really the Southern California death metal scene has always been really gracious to us, and we totally appreciate all the support throughout the years. So hell yeah.
John, it's been a great pleasure to speak to you, brother. And thanks again for all these years of diehard death metal. And you guys keep it going. Give my salute and a high horns to the rest of the band. And we will see you on the road soon.
Yeah,
And
definitely, and definitely next time we play LA, and if you make it out, come up to me, remind me who you are, and we'll hang out, have a little chat or something. Okay?
sounds good, brother. You take care.
Okay, take care.